Hello everyone, my name is Durga. I'm AWS certified trainer and instructor. I welcome you all in this course AWS Cloud Practitioner full course. Today we'll start with the first lesson which is AWS overview. We'll discuss about the details on AWS. We'll be discussing about brief overview of AWS. We'll discuss about its features. We'll see certain history of AWS. We'll try to check out how AWS has been distributed globally. And in cloud industry, AWS is on top as it is as a market leader. So we'll discuss about that. We'll see the entire services, products, and sub services under AWS. With this product services, we will be checking out the use case of each services, including the customers who are using AWS services. We will be discussing about all these things in this video, so this video will be somewhat longer. Now we'll start understanding the brief overview of AWS or what is AWS, what AWS offers. We'll be discussing about everything in this video. So AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. It is a cloud-based platform that offers a wide range of infrastructure services such as computing power, storage, databases, and other application services also. AWS is a subsidiary of Amazon.com, and AWS provides a flexible and cost-effective solution for businesses to deploy their applications and data in the cloud. With AWS, user can choose from a range of services to build and manage their applications without the need for upfront infrastructure investment. Some of popular services includes like EC2, we used to call Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. We do have S3, RDS, and Lambda. Many more services are there. And AWS also provides us some tools and services. By that, we used to manage and monitor these resources for longer period for managing their security, compliance, and analytics. AWS provides everything here. We'll see the features of AWS. We'll try to understand what exactly we can get it whenever we are going to use the service called AWS. So let's try to understand from the point first in the features of AWS. So point first is telling us cloud-based infrastructure helps business growth and scaling. So obviously whenever we are going to select AWS as a cloud, so we are getting whatever the infrastructure we are getting, we will be just focusing on our business rather than focusing on infrastructure whenever we are taking up infrastructure as a service from cloud. Second is we can set up certain hybrid capabilities in cloud also. So these hybrid capabilities help you to run hybrid in applications across your existing on-premises and cloud services. We do have pay as you go pricing here. So pay as you go pricing allows you to pay only as long as you use the resources, means how much you are using, that much you have to pay. We do have what do we call flexibility, scalability, reliability in the services whatever it is provided by AWS. It does provide us greater security through data encryption capabilities and exceptional hardware. It does provide security specifically from perimeter to the data, whether data is into the rest or data is into the motion. It is providing up the security for multiple purpose as well or multiple state. It is globally present in more than 201 countries throughout 31 geographic regions. So now let's start understand how AWS has started their uh, company and how they are right now into the cloud industry. We'll start to understand their history as well at the same point of time. So as you can see now, AWS has started in 2006 as a subsidiary of Amazon.com with a vision to provide cloud computing services to businesses and individuals. Today, AWS has become the largest cloud computing providers in the world with a market share of around 32%. So there are certain advantages we are getting in AWS. Why? Because AWS came as a first cloud providers. So these advantages are like if they came at first, so they do have early mover advantages, means when they have taken the decision to move to come into the cloud, so that is the company who came into the cloud first. So they do have that advantage. They do have continuous innovations as well. So AWS used to do certain research to provide best services to the user. So they used to provide some new technologies also into the same platform or same console. They do have diverse range of services, flexible pricing models, and strong customer supports. So these are the things giving up certain advantages to AWS. That's why customers, users, individuals, and everyone is using AWS as a cloud. Now we'll see the history of AWS. As you can see, it has been started by Chris Pinkham and Benjamin Black. They have presented their idea. That was the first vision. It has been started by 2003, and in 2004 AWS released its first service called Simple Queue Service SQS, and in 2006 AWS was officially launched, and the name has been given Amazon Web Services. After 1 year, in 2007, over 1 lakh 80,000 developers signed up with AWS. And in 2010, Amazon.com retail web services were moved to the AWS. And after that, AWS started to help reinvent conferences and programs. In 2013, AWS started providing certification courses for computer engineers. In 2015, third quarter, the total revenue, the profitable revenue was of AWS around $2.1 billion. So this is somewhat history we do have of AWS, which we can understand like it has started in 2003, now it is 2023. So it's a long journey. So there are a lot of new technologies has been added to the AWS. There are a lot of categories we are able to find out into the same platform. Now we'll try to understand how exactly AWS has been distributed globally. So the first thing which we are going to see here is AWS region. AWS region. So AWS is spread across the world through 31 geographic region and 99 availability zones. So it's not the absolute value like 31 geographic regions and 99. This is approximate states. We can get the absolute value like 31 geographic region, and somewhat more regions are about to come. Like the same, we do have 99 availability zones. So after few years or after few months, some more availability zones will be added to the AWS. So AWS has been distributed globally in 31 geographic region and almost 99 availability zone. Now we'll try to understand what is regions and what is availability zones. So basically a region is a geographic area isolated from other Amazon regions to provide the greatest possible fault tolerance. So region is only a geographic area, like one region will be associated with other region to provide greatest possible fault tolerance. So now we'll try to understand what is fault tolerance. Basically, fault tolerance is the ability of a system or a component to continue functioning without failure or without unexpected failure. We used to call fault tolerance. For the purpose of fault tolerance, we are using a reason, we can call, we are using geographic areas. Let's say if we are having any problem in this region, so we can switch back to another region. So this is your reason. Next we do have availability zones. So availability zones located within a region, so you can see this is one region, and in this region at least two per region, means the availability zone we are keeping minimum two in a region, and both availability zones are connected here via low latency. And low latency refers to the amount of time it takes for a system or a component to respond to a request or to complete a task. In computing specifically, low latency is associated with high performance systems in applications that require fast response time to user requests. So basically, whenever we are talking about like one availability reason to another availability reason, so these are connected with the low latency. And this low latency means, as I've told you, low latency refers to the amount of time which it is taking up to respond to complete a task. And there is always a minimum of two availability zones per regions. It is must exactly, there is always exactly, you will be having minimum two availability zones per region. Now we'll see the edge location, that is the third distribution point of AWS. Edge locations are located in most of the major cities around the world to distribute content to end users with reduced latency. Means we are going to accelerate the speed using the edge location. We need to understand the edge location in AWS is a data center facility that is part of the AWS global infrastructure network. Edge locations are distributed throughout the world and are designed to improve the performance and availability of AWS services for end users by reducing latency and network congestion. So basically, we are going to understand the use case of edge location. So we are using edge location to accelerate the data to distribute the content globally. That is the major purpose of using edge location in AWS. Now we'll try to understand AWS products. So AWS offers a broad set of global compute, storage, database, analytics, applications, and deployment services that help organizations with better speed, lower IT cost, and scale applications. We do have so many services in AWS, we can call them services or product. We can see analytics is one service, compute is one service, developer tools are one service, containers we do have, front end web and mobile we do have, game technology, internet of things, database, application integration, AWS cost management. So these all are the services exactly of AWS, and these all are the sub services of the same service. Let's say if we are talking about the compute, so compute is one service. Out of this service we do have, these all are the sub service of compute. So basically, we are going to understand how it is referring on a broad set of level. Broad set of level means you need to go ahead with somewhat more products and services. So we do have machine learning, we do have management and governance, migration and transfer, networking and content delivery, identity and compliance. We used to call security, identity and compliance. We do have storage. So these all are the services or products we are getting up under the AWS. Under these services we are getting a huge list of sub services. We are getting a huge list of sub services. So in this video we'll be discussing about almost major services and major services sub products also. Now we'll try to understand how AWS is a market leader and who is going to give the name as AWS is a market leader. So Gartner is one agency that used to provide report specifically on ability to execute and completeness of vision. So AWS is a market leader in cloud industry. Gartner is one agency who used to provide the report on ability to execute in completeness of vision. So with respect to this particular case, Gartner used to provide a report, and in that report AWS used to be on top. And the Gartner report is an annual report that provides an analysis of the cloud computing market with a focus on AWS as a leading cloud service provider. And obviously, the report is published by the technology research and advisory companies that is called Gartner. The report typically cover a range of topics related to cloud computing such as market trends, competitive technology, customer adoption pattern, how we are going to access that. Multiple things will be there to bring up the report of Gartner. So AWS is on top in CSPs with respect to infrastructure and platform. Now we'll try to understand certain things, whatever we have covered. We'll try to verify that very quickly. So AWS has geographic region. So AWS right now is having 31 geographic region. Just before a few seconds we have seen it. What is the minimum number of availability zones within a region we do have? So these answers you can keep into the chat box. Which particular products uses edge location to provide a CDN service? So you can say either A, B, C or D. Now we'll try to understand AWS Management Console, and we'll try to have a basic introduction about the AWS Management Console. We can see once after login to the AWS, we can point here to get the home of AWS. Here, just right towards your home, you can move towards services. In services only, you will be having all kind of services, products and sub services. In the left menu you will be able to get all the services. We can have a search bar here where we can search any kind of service. We can give the name of service, we can hit enter, and automatic the service details will start coming here. So we can see either whenever we need to search something, we can search from here, and then we do have cloud sale here. Whenever we need to do the what do we call command based management, or if you need to access the AWS resource throughout the command, you will be able to access the service called cloud shell. So cloud shell is a browser based shell that gives you a command line access to your AWS resources in the selected AWS region. AWS Cloud Shell comes with pre-installed in your console, or you can get it pre-installed once you are creating up your AWS account. We do have notification bell here. The notification you will be getting whenever you are having any issues, whenever you have generated any issues, you are having any problems or any kind of notifications, whenever it comes we are getting from here. From here we are getting support center, experts are there to help you out. We do have post documentations, we do have trainings, we do have somewhat other resource centers also, and we can send somewhat feedback also to the AWS. We do have, these are the regions of AWS specifically. Let's say Virginia, Ohio, California, Oregon, Seoul, the London, Paris, lot of. In India we do have Mumbai, which is working region, and Hyderabad is about to come. If we need to get the detail of our account, we can just click over here. By this we will be able to modify our account details, we'll be able to see the organizations, we'll see the services quotas, and we can also see the billing dashboard. Why? Because whenever we are going to get anything, so we must have to go ahead with the billing, security credentials, and security settings also will be able to access from the AWS management console. Now we'll start to understand how hierarchically AWS and their sub services has been accessed here. So we can see once we are going to click on services, and then we are clicking on all services. So these all are the services of AWS. This is your service. These all are the sub service of compute. This is your container. Container is one service, and these all are the sub service of container. Next one is your storage here. So these all are the subservice of storage. We do have database, we do have migration and transfer, we do have networking and content delivery, we do have security, identity and compliance, developer tools. These all are the major services which we do have into the AWS, including your AWS cost management, customer enablement, robotics, blockchain, front end, web and mobile, AR/VR, application integration, quantum technology, satellites, management and governance, business applications, end user computing, Internet of Things, media services, and game developments. So these all are the services and sub services we are able to access under the AWS. As you can see again, we can list like the same are all services, including their sub services or products itself. Now the first product which we are going to access under the overview, that is your AWS compute. In AWS compute, we do have several parts here. We can see like we do have instances, we do have container, we do have serverless, we do have edge and hybrid, we do have cost and capacity management. So under the instances, we will be able to manage multiple types of instances. We'll be able to see in compute specifically, we are going to discuss about the computational power. In computational power consists your RAM, ROM, storage, all kind of infrastructure, whatever we are managing. So these infrastructure will be managed virtually in the cloud. And we are calling those infrastructure which are present over there in the cloud as a compute whenever we are going to manage that. And these are having certain paths as we have discussed, like instances. Container is not now the part of compute, but we can bring up into the compute because we are also performing the computational task under the container. But right now, it is into the separate service list in AWS dashboard. We do have serverless services like your AWS Lambda. We do have edge and hybrid, cost and capacity management service. We need to understand multiple things including AWS compute. So let's start to understand AWS compute in detail, and then we'll be going ahead with the individual subcomponents of compute.